So the age-old debate, guns and fantasy versus swords and sci-fi. You know, Garbu was saying, like, do you want to look through this thread first? And it's like, Garbu, don't be silly. We're just going to sit and talk out of our holes the entire time. That's not try.
Look, Chad, I tried. I listen to your comments. Like, I try. Comments like I try. You said,
no, come on. We'll just do this. Right, okay. Honestly, I'm okay with both. I'm just going to go out here and say it. I actually like guns and fantasy. I think they're completely fine. Honestly, only certain settings I think shouldn't have guns, and even then they're few and far between. The vast majority of role-playing games take place in the not 1600s, not 1700s, because like, okay, oh, we can't have guns. It's like, yeah, but you've got all this other technology that did exist in this time period, so what are you playing at? Like, very few people playing like what I think a lot of people believe. Oh yeah, no, I'm actually playing in like the 1300s. It's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. Look at all the other technologies and what do you...
Like, people forget how like dire armor was in like the 10th century.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like,
well, 10th century, it's chainmail. It's just chainmail. I don't know. Great helms are pretty baller now.
A lot of ring mail, a lot of fucking leather armor. It wasn't great. Even then, still, like, and people forget that, like, there were cannons way back when. Like during the siege of Agincourt, there were cannons.
Yeah.
People forget that shit. Like
what's the difference between a cannon and a gun? Like, okay, a gun is just a very, very small cannon, a portable cannon, a personal cannon.
It is. Well, the first guns were basically hand cannons. They're basically a long tube on a pole that you held under your arm or on top of your arm like a goddamn RPG, and you like literally touched a fucking lighter to it. Like the medieval hand cannon is basically a fucking ogre cannon scaled down. If you think about it, like
I need to make that adventure. There was an adventure. It was a story time I led years ago, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it was about this company of ogres that all had cannons, and oh my god, it sounded so much fun. It's beautiful. I really want to recreate that in some way, shape, or form. But sorry. It's just you got my mind thinking about it. You go for it.
Well, it's just that people they just don't realize how close the gap was between like firearms and knightly combat. Like there are guys still wearing like flat helms and ring mail in a fucking wagon firing hand cannons at fucking Mongols and shit. Like,
yeah,
that was a thing for a long fucking time.
One of the biggest ones that you always have to bring up is, why did the East never adopt firearms? And again, like I think this is a very, I know, I'm very Eurocentric.
They're too busy.
Well, okay, not that, more than just that, but why'd you do that to me? Why'd you do that to me? I'm going to edit that out now, come to think of it. This is Neckbeardia. This is YouTube. I can't do... Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, anyway, back on point. Let's look at it. So the only Europeans that I can think of that were ever like really good archers, like particularly like known for archery, are the English, well, particularly Welsh. I know there's going to be a guy in the comments saying, actually Welsh. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, your kingdom is always forgotten about, and it's bungled in with England all the time. I know it's Welsh. Just, I'm sorry. Your flag looks cool, okay? But you are forgotten about. Wales is just a forgotten place. It may as well just be England. It's a fiefdom of England.
Don't make me tap the dragon again, bro.
No, but sorry. What I'm getting back to is they had to force them into doing that. Like, it came into law, oh, you have to practice with a bow once, like, every Sunday. You have to spend all day practicing with a bow, and it doesn't come naturally.
Man, imagine doing that in modern times with guns. That'd be crazy.
Yeah, but again, it is put into law. They are forced into doing it, and they become amazing at it. However, I know some people are going to argue with me. Who would you rather go up against? Mongols with bows or English longbows? They're both not great, but I'm gonna put my money on the Mongols are going to kick the bag out of the English bowmen just because maneuverability alone.
They're not a goddamn horse.
Yeah,
so, yeah, I'd say so.
But look,
oh, that's not fair. He's on a horse.
Look, it's one of those ones, and again, it's about time and skill. I think, like, I got into archery a while back, and I really do enjoy archery. But there's no denying a crossbow is a million times easier to shoot than a bow. Like, there's not even a comparison on how long.
Giant fucking stick.
Yeah, like how long does it take you to learn a crossbow? Like, accurately shoot within reason. Honestly, within a week. if it takes you longer than a week, there's something physically wrong with you.
So you'll understand the process in under an hour.
Yeah, oh yeah, you definitely will understand within an hour of just practicing. Within a week, you'll be pretty decent. A bow, it's completely different. You'll be crawling. Like, you know, what you could learn in a week with a crossbow is what you could probably get in like a year with a bow. Well, not that bad, but you get what I'm trying to say. It's still the learning process. And what would you say, Garby, with firearms on top of that? You know, how long does it take you to? How long does it take you to? How long would you say for the average person to? The best I ever got. So I joined a firing range a few years ago, and I went for a few months. So I did, and I really enjoyed the clay pigeon shooting. And the best I ever got was, I only did it once, was 6 out of 6. Most of the time it was only about half. I was only hitting like half the targets, you know. But I really enjoyed it, and it was a lot of fun, and it was only a few months. What would you say, Garb? What do you think is the average?
So I'm an actual trainer.
Yeah.
Technically, I'm fully licensed. I've had guys and girls hitting cherries at 10 yards with a pistol within half an. Like, the modern gun is so stupid proof that you can't suck with it. As long as you understand the basics, how it works, how the sights work, how to hold yourself when firing, it's fucking easy.
Yeah.
I can have like little starving African kids can.
No, Garbu, bad example.
Sorry.
We're not going to become African warlords, even though I really want to. You know, the worst thing is, I was working. I'll just put it out. I was working on a 5e supplement, the African warrior class. But Megan says, "No, James, that's distasteful. You can't do that." And I was like, "But what? But I actually do have General Butt Naked on Facebook. By the way, guys, anyone can add him. He accepts anyone. You can add Joshua Brady on Facebook. It's no issue. Just put that out there. So if you want to talk to an African warlord, you can. He's very accessible on Facebook, guys. Okay, that's all I gotta say. I was doing my research, but fine. No African warlord. No, that's distasteful, James. You can't talk to him man literally at the heart of children. No. Yeah, he's a pretty horrible guy. Not gonna lie, actually.
You're not my dad.
Yeah. Well, Megan was right. Honestly, I actually thinking back on it, it's like, yeah, you know what, Megan, you were completely right about that. I really shouldn't be talking to African warlords like ever. That's not a good person you want to be like talking to. You know, it's just not someone you want to bring up. But look, we'll go over Guns and Fantasy, and then we'll talk about swords and sci-fi, because I think Guns and Fantasy are a lot easier to. I think they're easier to do, personally. I think.
Well, once you understand the actual true time of real life, you understand that in the 1400s there were matchlocks. Like when you type in 1400s knight, right? You'll pull up like a dude with a fucking hoon skull and shit, or an English knight. Back in this time, in the time when they still had knights and cavalry combat and melees and full plate knights, they had matchlock rifles. Like there were longbows, crossbows, and a couple of like a few matchlocks, because they weren't great yet, but they killed knights really well.
Yeah,
you know?
they worked really well. You know what I mean? Within
a crossbow reason. A crossbow will penetrate plate steel. Yeah, but it won't get through all the layers of a knight. But that fucking lead ball though, it'll punch a hole through it. And they're like, well, what if you scale these fucking things up? And they had cannon. Now, what I believe is that most fantasy is created and crafted in a artificial bubble. You know what I mean? Because the people who made the game don't want to deal with trying to stat out a fucking gun, you know. Like,
yeah.
Go into D&D 5e gun. You go on the old Google machine there. They're honestly pretty fucking boring, and they're so handicapped by the D&D 5e system that they can't work as well as they should. Like,
is there much? Yeah, is there much difference between being gone through with a sword though to being shot? Like, let's be serious. Like, what's probably worse?
You're actually likely to survive a shot better than sword.
Yeah. So, like, a sword, 2d6. What do you think you could do a firearm at? Maybe a 1d8, maybe? Or
no. So most of the pistols, because usually you find a lot of pistols.
Yeah.
So usually like 1d8 or 1d10, 2d6 piercing. You know, they have like a reload thing. You know, that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So basically, you're probably making one attack every turn. If you're not like a fucking fighter. Or shit. Yeah. But again, I never really played with guns except for like this all skeleton.
Yeah, they had guns.
And besides that, I made them better by saying you get a free reload. You just fucking pump that shit in there, because you can reload these guns pretty quick. Like there are linemen who had to go and reload their rifles in seconds. You know?
Yeah.
So it's just it just didn't fit with the D&D aesthetic. Like,
I get, no, but I get it. It doesn't work. Like, and don't get me wrong, a lot of settings are not. It depends on the setting. That's for me personally. I think it goes via DM by DM basis on whether or not you should have firearms or not. That's my view on it. However, if dwarves exist in your setting, I see no reason why dwarves wouldn't invent firearms. I just don't. Yeah, like honestly, to me, a perfect example is Warhammer Fantasy. I love Warhammer Fantasy. I love it as a setting. I love everything about it. It ticks all the boxes.
The little empire with the black powder lines.
Yeah, like honestly, and it works really well. That's my go-to generic fantasy system in my head. Now, I'm sure for a lot of other people, maybe your generic fantasy system or setting is very, very different. Maybe you go for a more Lord of the Rings, Tolkien-esque sort of setting, and you know what? That's fine. I don't see the big issue with this at all, and I see people argue about this forever.
Well, the thing is that no one liked guns until Matt Mercer. Like, oh, okay, that's okay. Like, I saw a big shift in that mentality. Like, no, we can't have guns in D&D. But once Matt Mercer, they'd be like, oh, well, I guess.
Well, if he does, yeah.
Well, you laugh, but like, I noticed a strong uptick in fucking like. Well, I wouldn't mind having a pistol or two in my game, because he what was that fucking goober he had?
Which one
in that game? It was one of the first campaigns. They had like the fucking white-haired fucking self-insert who had the fucking.
Oh, I've no idea.
Grudge pistol or some shit.
No, I've no idea.
Yeah, but basically, like Matt Mercer spearheaded the guns by having like the pepper box and certain kinds of trick shots and yada yada.
Does that make it cringe now, Garbo? Does that mean we can't do it anymore? No.
Well, I think it's kind of bullshit how people are trying to do guns for years, but once Matt Mercer does it, oh well, I guess guns are cat. Like,
yeah.
I remember back, there's been a lot of arguments back in the day of like trying to put guns in D&D. They call you like a.
The thing is,
like you're just a fucking redneck chud American who wants to add guns in her set. But you love killing babies.
see if you look at chainmail and stuff. See if you look at like really early versions of D&D and stuff like that, like really early settings. A lot of them have dinosaurs and cyborgs in them. All right, like it's wacky. It's very like all I'm saying is it's pulpy. It's far more pulpy than it is the quote unquote the high fantasy. You know what I mean? Like it is
the high fantasy.
Well, you get what I'm trying to say. You know, you get what I'm aiming for. The harder one I think now is definitely swords and sci-fi. So I've been working an awful lot on something similar to this. I suppose it's, well, I would call World War One modern. So I've been working on Death March, my World War One system. If you haven't downloaded it, by the way, go ahead, download that. It's free. However, one thing with World War One that a lot of people don't really talk about that as much is how melee orientated World War One is. Don't get me wrong, yeah, they're using artillery. Yes, they are shooting at each other. But once you dive into someone else's trench, you don't really want to use it. Yeah, well, you don't really want to use a bayonet that much because the trenches are kind of tight. If you stab into someone's ribs, it gets stuck very, very easily. That's why shovels were so common. You know what I mean? Or like clubs and everything else that goes with it. It was really melee. Yeah, there was a lot more to it than I think a lot of people. And again, because World War One is such a. I mean, it's not in I don't think anyone's memory banks anymore, per se. Well, there might be a few people over 100 that were infants at the time, but it's still, I would call modern.
They weren't there.
Yeah, they weren't there, but...
But I would call it actually like pre-modern. But there's a great scene in The Kingsman where basically the name's Conrad. Conrad and his band of kilt-wearing Scotsmen are going along this long trench. They're going trench raiding, and they meet a group of Germans who are going to do the exact same thing. And they go shh because they realize if they open fire, well, their trench is going to fire across at them because they're all in no man's. So it shows this huge fight sequence of melee in World War One, and people love the fucking scene because it's literally knives and clubs.
Yeah, and shit. I'll need to check that out. So well. Oh, no, you go for it. Sorry.
Well, like this one guy, I love the character. I don't know how accurate it is, but he has that lobster shell armor that the Germans had.
Yeah, it was used, but it wasn't like no one liked it. no one liked him.
But, he had that and a goddamn sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Just fucking beat people to death. I was like, that seems awfully realistic.
Well, okay, so one thing I was looking into was, again, modifications. Because someone asked me, it's like, yo, what can I do? Well, like, can I, like, modify my weapons in anywhere? It's like, well, at the time period, they wouldn't. So I was looking at, like, okay, what do they put a bayonet on? You can put a bayonet on a rifle, you can put a bayonet on a shotgun, and I find a good few examples of bayonets on fucking Webley revolvers, and I was like, no, I'm not doing that. Yeah. That's absolutely ridiculous. They apparently some people did try it. It was a thing, but like I just looked at it like, no, I'm just not. I would rather just give you anything else, please don't hurt my soul. You know, maybe that's me being difficult, because maybe it's like, well, James, it actually did happen. It's like, yeah, but please stop, please. No, go away. One of the more obvious ones, and I know people are going to shade us if we don't bring it up with swords and sci-fi, is Jin, of course, with their
Doom.
Yeah, with their shields.
Well, we were up Dune a long time ago, where they're so advanced they actually went backwards in terms of actual coming back. Like they have like orbital bombardment and swords.
Yeah,
and there were guns. Of course, there are guns there. There are guns selling their pistols and rifles and such for those for the poor who can afford the fucking shields.
Yeah,
but like basically they went back to like spear and sword phalanx fucking formations and shit.
It's pretty cool though. It's an interesting idea. I love the concept. I love the concept.
Yeah, I do fucking love that entire like setting concept where we're so advanced we have to go backwards to kill each other.
Yeah.
So my favorite scene is where the House Harkonnen is going up these steps.
Oh yeah,
this line of spearmen, and they fuck them up, right? And they're doing pretty good until the Saduka come down behind them and like stab. But like it kind of brought back like that mystique of going out and stabbing your opponent in the face.
Yeah. Something that, well, no, you know what? I'm not going to start. Either way, what other ways can you really do swords in sci-fi? Because another one is, again, so we're talking about World War One. You see this a lot, especially with the goings on at the minute with Ukraine. You know, a lot of trench warfare, but they don't, well, at least from the GoPro footage that I'm coming across.
So I have a few contacts over there who are doing stuff, and they're doing stuff.
All right.
And there are a lot of combat knifing where there are guys pulling out Gerbers and trench knives and like dead ass bullocks daggers and shit, and they're stabbing the fuck out of each other because the Russians aren't wearing really good Kevlar, so the knife goes right through that bitch. So basically the Ukrainians who have the hard plate, either a ceramic or like AR-500, they're using their breastplate as a literal piece of armor, and
like a shield. Do you mean?
In a way, from what I understand, because it's really hard at describing shit because he doesn't know a lot of English. The orcs, if you will, have they have AKs and the AK bayonet, right? Well, they'll launch their chest plate in front of the AK bayonet and then grab the AK, and then they'll take their hand and push back on the charging handle and then grab that whole assembly. So the AK can't fire.
Yeah.
And then I guess most of the time these guys are like conscripts and they're not veteran recruits, so they'll kind of hold on to their rifle and shot, and then the Ukrainian guy just stabs the shit out of them in the neck. Like there's a lot of melee going on in Ukraine because they're always bounding forward and taking trenches.
Do you think that's something that can only happen with trenches though at this moment in time?
No. There were a lot of melee kills even in Operation Enduring Freedom. There were Marines and Army grunts who were constantly getting in close quarter battle in the Sandy Lands, and it either revolved around getting beaten to death with the fucking M4, or someone pulling a knife out, or one guy getting his fucking spork kill. You know, there is an infamous spoon kill that people always harp on about.
What about a good one? I suppose is space as well. Like, you know, like farms are going to work fine in space. I don't see any reason why they wouldn't.
I don't see people use. I know I got yelled at in comments. Actually, guy, bro, but I don't see them being used in the ships themselves.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
You shoot the wrong place, you're gonna knock out a system, or put a hole in the wall, or cause a fucking vacuum leak. I think there's gonna be a lot more. I mean, unless those fucking spaceships or those space stations are well reinforced, and I guess it was like low cartridge powder.
But Garbo, I've watched the movie Armageddon. I know everything about this. Space madness below. Space madness. I forgot. Me and Megan watched Armageddon. I honestly, me and Megan watched Armageddon a couple months back, and oh my god, I forgot how good it was. It's a really stupid movie. It's really cheesy, but my god, is it fun? Like, it's just a stupid fun movie. You know, anyone that takes it's like, well, actually, James, it doesn't work like this. I don't care. I enjoyed it. I had fun.
Well, actually,
it's like, yeah, I know it's a load of shit. Vast majority of it's a load of shit, but it's still fun. And I just love the idea of the whole movie. It was just really stupid. But yeah, like, I don't know. I think like swords. I suppose they're talking swords in particular, but I'm thinking more like melee weapons just in general.
Yeah, just melee weapons like a mace.
Like even to this day, like, you know, like even if you got armor on, a hammer, if you get whacked over the head, it doesn't. I don't care what you're wearing. If you get a good like solid whack over the head with a hammer, you're gonna feel it. You know what I mean? You're at least gonna at the very least feel it. There's no way you can't literally get like. And the thing is with hammers, they're so like top heavy. You don't like not even like someone that's not even particularly strong can use a hammer and really smash your head open very easily.
There's a lot of talk about the actual mace and melee combat, but like if you have room to swing the fucking thing, it will be effective.
Yeah,
but you need the room to swing it.
I suppose, and you like, you know, it's a give and take when it comes to any weapon, isn't it? Like, you know, there's always something you're going to have to give up for piercing or blunt or, you know, whatever. And you know, honestly, most role-playing games do that pretty good. So they do like piercing and slashing and blunt damage and everything else.
At the same time, if you want to stop your enemy from using their spacesuit, you poke a fucking hole in it. So.
Yeah, that's true as well. Actually, come to think of it, yeah, I don't know. I'm okay with all of it as long as it just makes sense in the universe. I honestly don't have a strong opinion. If someone
make it make sense, make it make sense.
Yeah, if someone comes to me and like, you know, it's like, okay, we're gonna play this, okay, and I mean, normally I wouldn't play anything that uses, well,
Spelljammer.
Well, yeah, no, Spelljammer. Gobby had a peg leg that was a rifle, so it was, and it was just a leaf-flavored hand crossbow, but like, to let me have some like additional rules for it, and I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I know it fitted the character, and again, it's piracy in space. For God's sake, it's Age of Exploration. Firearms makes it like you can't have a pirate without a load of guns. You just can't. It's hard to imagine a pirate without like 6 guns on his chest. That's just how I imagine them, with like, you know, one of those fucking hats on. It just has to be, you know.
See, I know in like Mortal Engines, air rifles.
Oh yeah, I can see air rifles and stuff.
Yeah, because like, you know, because their main armor was like, he was using like balloon airships. So you only use a fucking firearm near an airship, will set your entire fucking fleet on fire. So they used air pistols and gas. Delete.
Yeah, I'm really trying to think of a setting where a sword or some form of like dagger or anything could never be used, and I honestly can't think of one where, okay, I'm going to say it's not going to be standard issue, but
well, yeah,
like, you know, I can think of a lot of like Star Wars, for instance. They're never going to have standard issue daggers or knives and stuff, but they do have them. They do exist, you know. It's just it's more specialized,
like, because there are spears and there are like what are essentially power blades, like, you know, there are vibro blades that vibrate and bore through. So there are even daggers and such in Star Wars. They're just, you know, a bit more futury.
Actually, you know what, let's do it. Let me Google fantasy sci-fi settings that don't actually have sci-fi setting. So Star Trek, yep. Let me see. Top 100.
Well, no. Because Star Trek had those.
Yeah, exactly.
Klingons
Yeah,
swords, right?
that's what I'm saying. Like, they do have that. So there we go. Top 100 sci-fi films. Oh wait, do they use? Do they use any in Stargate? Yeah, they do. Actually, well, what do you call them guys in Stargate? They've got the spears that have like blasters on them.
The Egyptian folk?
Yeah. What do you? No, I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to say it because it came up on the list. Thor Ragnarok. It's like, honestly, Marvel. They use them all the time. You know what I mean? Let's not crank it ourselves.
Oh yeah.
But it's different. I'm not like
the thing is, Marvel used melee weapons for introducing like drama.
Yeah.
Like what I've noticed is that, you know, like there are guns, and there is like soldier, but they use melee weapons as more than narrative than anything else. Like, oh, you got stabbed with a blade, you know, or a guy's got a giant fucking hammer to set them apart because you can go like, LOL, he have gun. Doesn't really. They use the melee weapons as like as a part of the character.
Oh, Starship Troopers. That'd be one. Again, it depends on the enemy that they're going up against because you don't want to get into melee with the bugs.
Yeah, you're not gonna go, oh boy, I want to try and knife fight this giant danger cricket. You know, no, you're not gonna go do that.
Yeah, so I think that depends on who you're fighting against.
But mind you,
and depends on tactics as well.
Well, no, because they do show knife play in the setting though.
Yeah, they do. Disable the hand and all that.
Yeah. Just push a button.
No, just disable the hand. What you can't push a button, man. What are you on about? But you get what I'm trying to go for. I think it depends on tactics, depends on the environment that they're fighting in. There's so many variables, but overall, I see no reason why you can't have swords in sci-fi.
Saying literally like
I would argue
like a dagger. A dagger's fucking eternal, dude.
I would argue there's definitely more of an argument to have swords in sci-fi than there is guns in fantasy. Because even then, like even if you're fighting something that you're never going to use melee against, okay, it's not going to be standard issue, but they're going to exist in the setting. Like, can you think of any sci-fi setting at all, like any tabletop RPG that doesn't at least have a dagger as a weapon?
Well, it's like that's literally what I was thinking. Like, no matter what happens, you will run out of bullet, and if you run out of bullet, well, then you have a fucking knife to kill your enemy with, or say you're fighting an enemy that only know guns, like you're basically fighting Tau.
Oh yeah,
they only know guns. They only know fighting from range. If you get in melee with them, they're gonna fall to pieces. Like even using like a basic fucking combat hatch, you can kill most humanoid enemies. Like it's one of those things where you might find yourself in front of each other, and if you disable a weapon or your weapon's disabled, you can just say like hey, time out, not fair. Like no, you're gonna pull out your dagger and fucking go to task.
Yeah,
or your sword or your axe or whatever the hell you're fucking wielding with the gun.
Yeah, and again, like let's go back again. Let's go for the more history examples. Like honestly, I can't even to today within reason. Well, I suppose it's not so true anymore. Honestly, it hasn't really been true since like infantry lines stopped being a thing. But really, like Napoleonic, fine example. Okay, what are they using? Vast majority of the time they're using firearms. However, they want to make contact. Like the real objective is to get up and get close to them, and therefore, like the idea was at the time, if you can make contact 90% of the time, they will just run away, and that's what you kind of want to achieve. You want the enemy to rout, and how you make them rout? By getting them, like you have to force them out of their hole, essentially. You know what I mean? And I think.
Are you tired of overreaching and overbearing censorship on important and non-important issues? Well, you're in luck. For just $7.50 a month, you can get access to over 60 hours of completely uncensored and unhinged schizo takes from Megan and James. Us.
I mean, look, it's 60 hours at the minute. Every week we do a minimum of like 3 hours.
Yep.
So,
you get a lot of content.
There's a lot on there.
A lot of content. Ranging from... or even... yes, they are that spicy. Even the name of the topic must be censored. We can't even promote it on YouTube. You can stream or download all the videos from Gumroad and cancel your membership at any time. Though new videos every week on average come to 2 to 3 hours long, so we can really go in depth on any topic, and we are not strangled by the YouTube algorithm.
That's a big issue I always find.
Yeah. We can be open and uncensored and not have to worry about any of that.
If you want to talk about a subject, YouTube really promotes, you're going to have to get that done in 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. But on this, we can really take our time and really delve into it.
And most weeks we do bonus off-topic videos. And yes, we even have a teaser video you can download for free from neckbeardia.co.uk. In it, we talk about Northern Ireland for 4.5 hours.
I don't even think we scratched the surface.
No, it's to try and help you understand who we are as people, our worldview, and how we can kind of be aliens to most people. If any of that sounds good to you, go ahead, links down below, and let's get back to the video. Also, the winner of the daily giveaway is this guy! Yay! Woo! Woo!
Look, anyway, in for a chance to win, all you gotta do is like, subscribe, leave a comment down below, automatically entered in.
And to claim the prize, you just send an email to neckbeardiacontact@gmail.com. Let's go back to the video.
It works. Okay, of course, Garble, you be your horses. Honestly, I
It looks cool.
It does look cool. I'll give you that. I will
It's the
give you that.
modern knight.
You know what? This is something that I would recommend anyone. See if you're really interested in like cavalry. I think the best, because we're never going to be able to find out what it actually looked like. No one in the world can explain to you what it looks like when cavalry actually charge into like a big group of people.
Heavy shock cap.
Yeah, we don't know. We just don't have any idea. But the best we can really get to that is whenever, like, you know, there's any form of riots or anything and the police get out horses, and then you kind of get an idea of what it would be like to see like a cavalry charge when you see horses like
You see bitches panic proof.
yeah, you do.
Oh, shit.
I did. You see the policeman on top of the baton, just sitting battering people, and like, you know, it's actually really interesting to see because it's the closest we're ever going to get because we just don't know. Like, you know, could you imagine anything better? I would love this. Okay. James, if James had a time machine, I would, okay, because I've got a time machine, I'm allowed to have this. I'm going to have an invisible hot air balloon, okay? And my invisible hot air balloon just gets to sit like 100 meters above any battlefield ever and just actually see. Like, I want to be able to, you know, play like a Total War, essentially. Well, I'm not playing Total War, but it would look like Total War from my perspective of ancient battles to actually see how they interacted and how they moved, and there's so much shit that we just don't know because, again, you need to remember that a lot of these things that people experience, they just thought it was true, and they just thought it was so commonplace. So much of the day-to-day stuff is just not recorded, and we don't actually know that much about what these people were up to. There we go. That's an excellent example of someone getting absolutely fucking trampled. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh. But where do you want to go with this? Do you want to? Garb, I take it you want to talk about horses. What do you?
No, I'm just demonstrating how like some things are timeless. Like the cavalry charge is still used. You know, a dagger is still used.
Yeah.
Melee is still used. It's just more of a call for occasion when it is used.
I would argue a lot of people say like tanks are the new cavalry. I would argue it's aircraft, if I be honest.
Drones are new cavalry.
Yeah, more drones, honestly. They work better. I see where they're coming from with tanks, definitely, and they make sense, but tanks, you know what? So much that we thought was true.
The Ukraine war has been quite eye-opening.
Yeah, it really has.
Tanks need to be supported by like infantry and technology. If not, they're gonna get like LOL drilled.
Yeah, it's you know what? Like, you know. So I was younger, I used to think, oh, tanks be sweet. Yeah, it doesn't really work too well when you're going up against people that are actually able to destroy them. It's a bit different when you're fighting people in holes in the ground that are chucking rocks at you. You know, it's a bit. Yeah. It's like, yeah, okay, I'll take the tank. It's like, okay, you know what? I don't want to get turned into molten slag. Doesn't sound like a really cash money death for me, guys. Not gonna lie.
Like I was reading an old book, and this is an old sci-fi book that was like it was like written like the 70s, and I found it like a garage sale for like a cent. I was like, ouch. And there's a scene in this book, and I can't remember like the fine details. Basically, they're in space fighting, right? Yeah. And a human colony is invaded by this Op-4 alien, and this colony has like cows and livestock, and they launch an EMP that takes out, you know, all the tanks and yada yada, and some of the guns don't work because guns are electric, which is kind of a reverse Deus Machina to help make it more dire.
Yeah.
But and what basically happens is that the aliens are all about range combat, and they're all about having, you know, fancy armor that stops ballistic and energy and all that. So the humans on this colony just grab their horses and cows and strap like tin roof armor to them and make these basically like space lances. Like there's some kind of space material, and they have this cavalry charge that runs through all these aliens and literally decimates them because they're all like grouped up as like a haha, you can't hurt us kind of thing, and the cavalry just plows through them. Yeah. And I think all things are viable when given the opportunity or given the time to be viable.
Yeah, and it's like, but depends on tactics. It depends on what you're going up against, what you're dealing with, and how you're doing it. On this note, though, I really want. You brought up Kai's like, oh, I mean, how cool would it be to like friggin' actually like straight up bull? There was one time I was
so it's like actually like in the book, I remember like it's one of my favorite scenes. Big ass Texas Longhorn just spears through three aliens and like throws them. I was like, right, I get it. That's pretty cool.
There's some animals that I'm just never fucking with, and that's a bull, most definitely.
Yeah.
There was one time I was driving back from, I can't remember if I was driving into work or I was driving out of work, but I was driving over the countryside, and they were trying to move a bull from one field to another, and he was out in the middle of the road, the bull, and the two farmers had these, like, they're not like whips per se, but they had like these like rubber sort of, no, they weren't probes, but they were like whips. They were big rubber, but they were pretty fat, so they were. Oh my god, the bull was like jumping, like he did not want to move across, and like the two farmers were trying to like herd him in, and oh my god, see him like jumping up in the air and like stamping on the ground and all the sparks going from his hooves, and oh my god, Jesus, it was mad, like, you know, and you could see the muscle. See when animals have like defined muscle mass, fuck that. I ain't fucking.
People forget how strong.
No, like, see, that's the thing. Like, it's. I think it's because, like, you know, once you see like a shaved gorilla, it's like, oh my god, sweet shit. This is turning into Joe Rogan though.
The only time I've been hurt by an animal was when this, like, it was like a regular ass cow, and I wasn't paying attention. No, I was like, it's just. I thought it's just a cow. It's not a problem. And this cow threw me. Like, it literally went down, and I did something that spooked it, and it lifted its head. Why? Because its head was by my. Like, hey, what are you doing? I kind of like poked its nose because like it's a cow. It won't react violently. so it jerked up. Woo! Its head caught me on my chest, and it threw me like 20 feet through the air. I remember like time slowing down.
Yeah.
Like, oh, am I cartwheeling? Oh, I'm cartwheeling. You know?
yeah.
And I was like, fuck. And I landed. I let like a sack of shit. I was like, oh, like it fucking sucked.
Oh, fuck that.
But like people forget how strong.
Yeah.
Like
animals.
Livestock.
Yeah, they will fuck your day up.
Yeah, just fucking animals.
Yeah, they will fuck you up. One thing I would love to see though is elephants. I'd love to see an elephant charge. Oh, sweet Jesus.
I seen the old VHS things of that one keeper getting tossed.
Yeah.
It's the few VHS tapes of zookeepers and circus folk getting thrown through the air by an elephant, and it almost looks fake. Like it almost looks faked.
Yeah,
you know,
they do. They do.
How these elephants effortlessly throw these guys 40 feet across a fucking ring or like a paddock, and then just kneel on them and kill them. Like there's one elephant that just goes, I'm gonna just step.
Yeah.
Whack, and just fucking killed it. I was like, what the fuck? You know, like, holy shit.
Yeah, could you imagine just getting trampled by elephants? Oh, sweet Jesus. I couldn't imagine anything worse than going up against an elephant charge.
In Greeks and Rome.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine that.
Oh, God. That would definitely one of the worst. Definitely one of the worst things. If I was stuck in fucking like Bronze Age or later or Antiquity or any of that type of shit, I come across elephants, nah, I ain't fucking with that shit. I just am not. No way. Could you imagine anything more terrifying? Like, you know, have you ever, I'm sure I forgot you guys watching, if you've ever been to a zoo and like there's some enclosures where you can go to and you can really get an idea of the size of elephants. Like you can really get close to them and you can really understand just how big they are. You know what I mean? It's kind of spooky. It's one of those ones that makes me always wonder. It's like, because they say that some mammoths were far larger. I'm like, holy fuck, how big?
Mammoths were larger and they were far more brawny.
Yeah.
And a part of my brain says, what if we weaponize cyber mammoths in the future? Like we go in, we recreate the mammoth and we weaponize the mammoth as like a cyber mount that has like machine guns on and shit, and it just breaks lines of people.
That's something that I've really been wanting to play about with. I'm sorry, guys, this is really went off from guns and space, from guns and whatnot.
Mammoths and space.
Yeah, mammoths. No, but I've been really interested in the idea of genetics and stuff like that. Like, you know, I suppose you could always go back to like the Clone Army and Star Wars or whatever, but what can you do with genetics and how can you splice them, and what could be created if there were no restrictions, and what could we even create today that would be spooky, and God knows what we could do in the future. Like, you know, what machine could you build, you know, and also at what point do we get to the point where we can actually at what point can we make Adam Smasher a standard infantryman? That's what I'm trying to say, okay, guys?
Well, like again, I guess we're this is kind of on subject, right? Like I didn't hate the idea of cloning a fucking army. Like you pick
sense.
one genome or one human being. Now, this is a perfect soldier, and you just crank that bitch out, fucking literally a battalion, a fucking month. I mean, I don't hate it.
I don't hate it, but it doesn't. The problem is it's so anti-human, and I think the real problem comes down to his human nature. It's like AI. Like, you know, all AI becomes extremely racist and homophobic if you don't lobotomize it, you know? And I think you would have to do that for, like, space soldiers or, like, genome soldiers. You would honestly have to lobotomize them to a certain extent. And again, is that us being scared of our own technology? Is it kind of like Frankenstein's, like, what have I created?
It'd be more like just basically brainwashing your soldier.
Yeah.
Basically, you have to go in and make this soldier understand without shadow of a doubt. Like from birth, you whack it into, you know, you are a soldier for the yada yada blah blah blah.
Yeah.
You love yada yada. And then the most important part is treating them fairly. Make sure they don't fucking end up hating you for some reason.
Yeah, like, don't turn them into replicas from fucking Blade Runner. Don't turn them into... you know, and again, who are they loyal to as well at that? You know, it's my god, look, we're running into so many issues with that. I don't know what the future holds, because if we look at Ukraine, for instance, if we look at the Middle East, so much of what they always say that though, don't they? They always say you learn how to fight the next war just in time for the next one. You know what I mean? And I don't know what the future has in store. I think we can only guess and try to, what would be the right word? Replicate? Maybe we can only guess. Honestly, it's all guesswork. All this stuff. Where do you want to go with this?
Of course it is, because we're in the past. It's all guess.
Yeah.
Like, back to the thread. Everything works. More or less, we'll kind of hit the big word. Most fantasy games are made in a bubble.
Yeah.
That exclude guns on purpose because of the power level they have. Even then, you can have accurate guns, not much accurate to time period or like a tech level that work, but are still like wonky as shit, inaccurate, not rifle.
Yeah.
You know? I feel like people confuse like an M16 to the early hand.
Yeah.
Early hand cannon was basically you're going, that's roughly the same area.
Yeah.
You know, you're just like hoping for the best.
And another good one is, like, you know, look at it sounds mad to us today. Well, maybe it doesn't, because, like, you know, we kind of do it anyway, but you can't. We've got this weird idea that progress cannot be stopped. You know, we cannot, but, like, you know, we do throughout history many times. Like, you know, say
pulls that dagger, guess what, motherfucker?
Yeah, like, you know, like, there's a really good one. There's a good aluminum one where I believe there was a guy that came up with plastic. Like, you know, and he was killed for it. There's tons of examples. Look at the Catholic Church when it comes to crossbows. It didn't like them. You know, there's so many ways that they can go about where, oh, we don't like where this technology is going. Yeah, we're just not going to continue down this route or this road. We're just not going to do it. Or maybe let's look at
curing cancer. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, here, look, that's Big Pharma today. Maybe would they be all that interested if you could? Let's be serious though. You know, like if it's a profit scheme, then it makes no sense. Why would they want to cure anything? But look, I don't want to get into that because it'll probably get flagged by YouTube for whatever reason.
2 hours later.
Yeah, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it at all. But look, back on point, it just depends on setting. I honestly think swords in sci-fi makes complete sense. How often they're actually being used, debatable. Are they going to be standard issue? No. Will you be, if you were playing a tabletop sci-fi setting and you didn't have a dagger, I would say you're missing a serious part of your toolkit, because you need to have something. You know, every player should have that. Like, it's kind of like saying I don't have a tinderbox, for instance, or I don't have a bedroll. It's like you just assume that you have that, you know. Whereas guns and fantasy, it's more up to the DM. And again, you can come up with so many other reasons. Like, let's look at Mesoamerica. Why did they not bother with steel or any of this type of stuff? It's like, well, they had obsidian, and obsidian's really good. You know, it's got its own properties. Yeah, but it worked. So, like, you know, that's a big problem. Or like, let's look at China, for instance. China, it took them a while to learn how to build glass. But why? Because they already had ceramic. So why do you need glass when you've already got ceramic?
A lot of porcelain.
Yeah, you don't need glass. So therefore, what happens if you don't get glass though? That doesn't sound a glass bottle. That doesn't sound very interesting. Well, you get glasses and magnifying glasses and telescopes and so many other shit that you get with glass. It's really good, so it is. But it's stuff that you just would never have thought about. And again, like, there's so many reasons why in a fantasy system they have X, Y, and Z technology, but they just don't have this. They don't have that one, and they don't have firearms. And there's so many ways you can write that out, and I'm okay with that. If a DM doesn't want it, that's fine. That's cool. I don't really care. You know what I mean? But I don't care. I don't care that much, but I do. It does get under my skin. People that fucking scream that you can't have guns in fantasy at all under any circumstances. Like, well, no, you can have. I would say you can have guns in fantasy at least 70% of the time, minimum. What would you say? What would your?
I just think that the biggest thing that I don't disagree with you at all. We're almost on the point. The biggest thing is just not understand. Like, go through the thread. A guy think a gun takes 3 minutes to reload for a musket. Like,
yeah.
Black powder weapons, but muskets take up to 3 minutes to reload. Like, like it's just. I mean, sure they're loud, but like they're all like you don't want to be loud. Use a bow.
Yeah.
Like, even in modern times, like they're actually crossbows and bows in special forces armories for that exact fucking reason.
Yeah.
You don't want to go, or use a can. There are ways to make it quiet. And like, say you're in, okay, we're gonna sneak into the BBEG's castle. Okay, I'll put my fucking gun away and pull my dagger. Like, it literally shows how you need both for both situations.
Yeah.
When we stealthy, you pull out your fucking sword and you stab someone.
Like, honestly, like see, for me, whenever I was using the gun in Spelljammer, the peg leg, honestly, I was kind of rogue. It was probably a bad idea. It was actually a really bad idea for me to be using that. It wasn't a good choice, if I be honest with you. But Teal did some stuff with it, and I thought it added more to the character overall, and it just made sense. I just liked it more. And was it good on a? What would be the right word from a power gaming stance? No, it wasn't a good choice to go for that. I could have went for any other ranged weapon and I would have been better off, but I liked it and I thought it was cool and we made it work for the setting, so hey, who cares,
I'm sorry, I'm just reading this thread and losing my will to live.
Why, how bad is it?
Well, people just don't understand how guns work, I swear to God. Like, it's just people like they just check out this fucking info.
Alright, send us it.
Like I see this and it still makes fucking sense. You have a giant Kevlar shield and you go in and you just get in close. Like, it may sound dumb, but this is actually kind of mildly viable as long as you keep your fucking head and chest from getting blown apart by a fucking SIG or some shit.
Yeah.
But like, people don't, they just don't understand how guns work, and it always bothers me because I'm a trainer and it makes my brain explode.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. Well, so I'm gonna say swords in sci-fi work at least 95% of the time, and even in that other 5% of the time, okay, maybe they're just not a sword, they're a dagger, and they're not going to be standard issue for the bulk of that, but like, I see no reason why they shouldn't be at least listed in the armory of the rulebook.
Yeah, everyone needs a fucking knife.
Yeah,
at least a knife.
At least a knife, maybe a short sword, whatever. They're going to be used for something, and I can't think of a single set that they just don't exist. Yeah, they just do. All right. What would you say? What's your percentages if you could go on?
Man, I can't really give you a fucking percentage. I really can't, because for one, on one side of the argument, let's go. I'll go ahead and go for like swords in sci-fi / bladed weapons in sci-fi / melee weapons in sci-fi. It'll be 99% of the time a melee thing on you.
Yeah.
Even on soldiers, it's standard issue bayonet. Depending on your unit, you'll have a hatchet or something else like that. You have something to whack and kill things in case you need to. With guns of fantasy, I think that sometimes they are excluded on purpose in a bubble. I really do. I really do that some settings exclude them on purpose because gun's bad, or they're a liberal, or they don't want to deal with trying to stat out and balance what a gun actually does. But even then, an actual gun, like, what century would you say most high fantasy adventures happen?
High fantasy. I'm going to go, because they've got full suits of armor, I'm going to go like 1300s. That's what I would go for. I think that's my.
I think that's accurate. Like, as as a rough thing, I think 15th century is a pretty good
Yeah.
starting point.
I mean, like, you know, like if you go for like 1066, they don't have. Well, okay, some people have played, but it's not standard at all. It's chainmail. It's chainmail and a tunic. Same with most of the Crusades. Chainmail and a tunic. You know, okay, yeah, you can go back. Yeah, you can go for like Romans and stuff like that. Yeah, okay. You know, one that I find really interesting, I always try and think about this is, again, when it comes to like the Romans and stuff, I think, and I've said this before, and it's to do with like the progress of technology. One of the reasons why I think we had the Industrial Revolution, the main reason why I think the Industrial Revolution had to happen, was because we got rid of slaves. See, this is the biggest. No, but straight up, what would the Romans do if they got into a problem? Let's say, their mine has flooded, and this is like, you know, this is where steam engines come from, to pump water out of mines. Our mine has flooded. What will we ever do? I know. Let's just throw more slaves at the problem to make it work. You know, once you get rid of slaves, you kind of have to think more on how you're going to overcome that issue and that problem. And that's where I feel like, just because if a civilization has slaves, the chances of them really making big leaps forward are really, really small, because they just don't need to make them big leaps. You know, perfect example. Think of 1950s American commercial. Think of their kitchen of tomorrow, you know, and you've got like the robot that does all that type of stuff. Well, you know what? In the 1800s, they had the kitchen of tomorrow. It was called a slave, you know. That literally did the same thing. But you get where I'm coming from, though, and it's interesting because, again, when you think about it, well, what does slave mean? What does robot mean? Sorry, robot means slave, essentially. It's interesting, and it's something I think that I feel like a lot of people overlook it. And to me, it's almost like a core fundamental for the way I perceive history, almost, you know. For me, anyway, I do believe without, and again, that's something that are we going to see this as well with AI, for instance? Like, AI is the next big thing, I suppose, at the moment, with so many people getting their hands on it, and it's wiping out.
You've all seen The Matrix, and I'm worried, bro. I'm like, the robots not sleep.
Well, it is wiping out a lot of office jobs, you know, that's safe to say.
Boo fucking
I know, exactly. But do you hear where I'm coming from? Are we going to see the same thing where we're going to become incredibly lazy? And we're already seeing this with a lot of kids. Like, kids don't know how to. Would you believe it? Would you believe that kids just don't really know how to use computers anymore? Which just doesn't make sense. Like, you know, kids use tablets. They know how to download apps and stuff. But like, say if they have like a problem with their computer. Like, look, all I'm saying is I was raised online where I had to get them Trojan viruses off my computer somehow.
Had to navigate the fucking slime pits of the internet.
Yeah, exactly. I had to make that work, and kids just don't have that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, say you want to watch something, hey, what's this? What are we on about? We got Netflix. You know, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, kids just don't get it these days. It's just not how it was for us. Like, 10, when I say 10
What the hell's a Trojan?
yeah, like when I say 10, really what I mean is 20 years ago. Oh my god, please make the time stop. Yeah, when I say 10 years ago, it's like, oh wait, me and Megan we're going out 10 years ago. That's not Netflix, because it's just fucking 10 years. Make it stop. Make time stop. Anyway,
but
where do you want to go with this? Where do you want to go?
Well, back to my point I was making is that even during the 13th century, there was a shoulder held cannonade that you light manually.
Yeah.
So it's just, you can have guns, you can have guns in fantasy, you can have bladed weapons and sci-fi. You gotta remember what you're limited to, because you can't like have like an AK-47 in your high fantasy setting, because it's gonna ruin everything.
Ask why it exists. Ask why they use it and why they have it. I think that's
how, and also how are they feeding it? How are they manufacturing it? Who's making the powder? Who's making the ball? Who's making the cartridges? Who's thinning out the brass and then forming it in dyes? Like, there's a lot of moving parts to making a bullet.
Oh yeah, and you could argue even just price of cost. Like, you know, everyone always goes on about.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah, dude.
You know, everyone always goes on about, oh, mate, see back then, like a suit of armor was like a sports car back then. You know what I mean? Like that's how much it costs. Like, well, yeah, there you go. Just do that with firearms as well. You know, very specialized, very niche. Maybe not maybe fuck all people even know how to produce them. You know, and just because they may be relatively like that, but maybe the information's controlled. Maybe it's like Byzantine fire, for instance. Maybe there's only one place in the world where they know how to produce these, and they keep that secret. Like no one's allowed near it. You know, all that sort of stuff.
A lot of mangas fuck it up. Too,
yeah. Well, anyway, is that where we're going to finish up? Is there anything else? I think we're going to get shouted at a lot in this, but we always do, so that's okay.
Your opinions are shit and fuck you.
Well, you know what? Tell me why I'm wrong and stupid, and what am I completely far off with? Because I honestly do believe, when it comes to the modern world, especially online, I think your views need to be able to adapt to the surroundings. This is what I've got with a lot of people. I meet so many people, especially like liberal boomers that I meet in like the UK. They still get on as if like Thatcher's still a thing. You know what I mean? It's like, mate, it's not the 80s anymore.
Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah, but like the world you were born into doesn't exist anymore. And same for me. The world I was born into doesn't exist anymore. The world has completely changed, and we need to be able to adapt to that change, you know, and we need to be able to take in information. What was true 3 years ago is not true today, for instance, and I think, you know, we have to be relatively malleable. Does that make sense? Is that fair to say when it comes to the way we view the world, maybe? I don't know. Any last words?
Fuck D&D.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. Either way, oh yeah, by the way, sale, by the way, Jan 30. I really wish I'd made the sale called Janny 30, by the way, but it's Jan 30 for 30% off the entire month of January. Get it, and you know, like, you get 30% off your order. I've also got a ton of other stuff up for free on the website, so that's always nice. And I'm almost finished the Bastard Princess. I think it'll probably take me about a month or so before you guys will probably get your hands on it. But if you're really interested, I would really love feedback, so shoot us a wee email and I'll send you it, but like, please give me feedback. Please don't just like take the PDF and be like, cheers, nerd. You know, that would be really nice.
Thanks, retard.
yeah. It's like, well, you know what? It's not going to be the finished product anyway, so fuck you. Also, the adventure is going to be free anyway, so like, it doesn't really matter. I suppose I could put it out now, but like, I don't want to. You know what I mean? I want to wait until it's actually like.
I don't want to.
Yeah, I want to wait until it's actually like, I'm really, really happy with it. But anyway, like, that's where we're going to finish up.
We believe it.
Yeah, that's true. It's always slight tweaks. I did that with Death March. See the quick start goals. I got to the point where I just looked at it. It's like, you know what? That's done. If I tweak it anymore, I'm tweaking it for the pure fucking sake of tweaking it. You know what I mean? I am just playing about with.
Oh boy, I sure love fiddling.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. I'm just fiddling with it, and I'm not actually making any genuine, meaningful changes. All I'm doing is slightly modifying the bell curves on dice.
There's James just playing with it.
Yeah, well, I can play with my thing all I want, Garboon. You play with your thing all you want, okay? You've been playing your one for years, right? Years. At least your one's nearly out. Is it out yet? Like, people? Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's out. It's out on coffee. There are 3 versions of it. You can buy just a manual. You can buy the 3-banger, which has the manual, the monster manual, and the player manual. And then also just there's the RPG combat manual, player manual. There's 3 settings because some guys don't want my bad guys. They'll make their own bad guys.
You know,
so for only $85 dues, you can get all of them.
Oh, that's pretty good. Although I did try and bully you into getting a website up and running, but you're like, no. If you want to, my
brush, it's expensive.
It's not that expensive. It's not that bad. Like, you know. But anyway.
I'm not rich like you, Beard.
Oh no. Oh. I'm sorry. People actually go on my website. Hey, no. Hey, look. You know what?
Hey, that's mine.
I would put your stuff up on my website. The only problem is I don't want to have to manage other people's money. That's really what I don't like doing.
The only problem is you're gay.
Well, you know what? I was really thinking about that. I was really thinking about looking into turning my website more and more into like a market, if that makes sense. Like, you know, people can become vendors on my website, but it would just be such a nightmare when it comes to like what happens if
Handling money.
well, yeah, I have to handle other people's money, and then I would have to also the stuff you would have to pay. I'd be paying like £100 a month for all the software attached to all that sort of stuff, and then also when it comes to post, maybe you'd be paying for post for this item, this item, this item, and also I don't really have any control. Like, you know what I mean? Say if someone's selling their book and they're actually physically posting it themselves, you know, I can't give you any like quality control. At least I know at the minute everything that's being sent out from the website is like for me within reason. You know what I mean? So like it's messy. It's messy. Maybe in the future. But anyway, look, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let us know. We are fucking certified retards. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Push-up class. Actually.
Oh